Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction. This time we are doing a prediction with the Democratic nominee Kamala Harris and Governor of Florida Ron DeSantis. I just think that would be a fun hypothetical to do because someone recommended me to do this. And I haven't done a hypothetical between these two in quite a while. So let's just go through it. So I think Ron DeSantis, he's most likely going to pick Kim Reynolds, the Iowa governor, as his VP choice. That was the most likely assumption people were thinking of. So I think he probably would have ended up picking her, would have helped him out in the Rust Belt, of course. So I don't think it would have been a terrible pick for Ron DeSantis. But her approval ratings aren't the best. So she isn't the best VP pick for DeSantis. I think he could have picked someone better. Probably Glenn Youngkin would have been the best pick across the board for Republicans for VP. He's just the best pick electorally. I think he would really put Virginia actually in play for Republicans. But let's just get into this. So Alaska would be safe Republican. Same with Iowa, assuming Ron DeSantis picks the Iowa governor as his VP. He would make Florida safe Republican as well. He's a very popular governor here. I have no doubt he would win the state of Florida by about 11 points against Kamala Harris. I think he would do better than Donald Trump in his home state. He's more well liked there. But even though he would win a Republican primary in his home state, I think he would win independents here in Florida by a bigger margin than Trump would. And he's a lot younger of a candidate, and that's definitely a factor now. The age issue shifted on Trump. So I think DeSantis, being a much younger candidate, could do more rallies than Trump. There's pretty much not a big difference on policy in terms of DeSantis and Trump. There's pretty much the same. Maybe DeSantis is a bit more right wing on some issues, I would say. That's probably the big difference. But let's keep going. So Colorado would be safe blue. There's no way DeSantis can test that state. Maine and New Hampshire are probably out of reach as well. DeSantis is very socially conservative, and it wouldn't play well in those socially liberal states. He'd still win Maine second, though, by a likely R margin. Nebraska second, I would even drop down from likely blue to lean blue. I think you'd do a bit better in the suburban district. Again, in the suburbs, Trump is pretty toxic. He made a lot of them shift blue from 2016 to 2020. So heading over to the state of Texas, I think DeSantis would do a bit better than Trump here, winning it by about 6%. I think he would energize the base a bit more there. And I think he would just do better with independents a bit more. So let's head over to New Mexico and Virginia. I think these states would remain likely blue ones. Ohio would probably remain likely Republican as well. So two big differences between Trump and DeSantis is how they do in North Carolina and Georgia. I think DeSantis would do better in both of these two states. He's actually from Florida. He wasn't born in New York and moved to Florida, so I think he had a bit better regional advantage. And I don't think he would be as toxic as Trump would be in the suburbs in both these two states. So I think he would do well in North Carolina and narrowly win Georgia against Harris. Again, Harris is going to get really good black turn on the state of Georgia. She would do great in Atlanta and its surrounding suburbs, so she would get very good black turnout, but that's still not enough to beat Ron DeSantis' narrow advantage here in Georgia. Heading over to Nevada and Arizona, I also think these two states would probably go to Ron DeSantis. However, his abortion messaging, I think, would actually end up hurting him in Nevada and Arizona. He did sign a very strict abortion ban in the state of Florida, so I do see that hurting him in both these states, which is why they aren't lean Republican, they're only tilt Republican. But I think he would just be narrowly favored to win here in both Nevada and Arizona. So I have these as tilt Republican states overall. So let's head over to the last four Rust Belt states. I think the state of Minnesota with Tim Walz, he's a good VP pick. He pretty much locks in that state. So I have this state as a likely blue one. I do think he helps out overall in the Rust Belt a good amount for Harris. He is seen as a popular figure here, according to the New York Times poll. So Michigan, it's one of the most likely of the seven swing states to go to Kamala Harris. I think she narrowly ends up winning here. Wisconsin, I think she's a narrow favor in Wisconsin as well. I think Tim Walz helps Harris out in this neighboring state. And DeSantis isn't the most populist candidate, which is a big difference between Trump and him. He's seen as more populist Donald Trump, so I think this actually ends up hurting DeSantis here in Wisconsin. And then the election comes down to basically Pennsylvania, which is the most likely tipping point state, in my opinion. But I still think DeSantis would have a bit of a struggle in this Rust Belt, even though he would probably pick Kim Reynolds as his VP. I still think he would narrowly struggle in the state of Pennsylvania. I think it's just enough that Harris narrowly wins the state. So it's a very close electoral college vote total, 270 votes, 268. All DeSantis needs is to flip Nebraska's second, and then it's a 269 to 269 tie. But this is how I think the election would go if DeSantis suddenly became the Republican nominee. It's not going to happen. But this is just a fun little hypothetical to go through. If he was the candidate, I still think Republicans would be slightly disadvantaged here, but not completely out of the realm of possibility that DeSantis could win Pennsylvania or Wisconsin. They're only tilt blue states after all. But other than that, this is just my hypothetical prediction of this scenario. I think Harris ends up winning the popular vote by 2.5%, so about the same. But other than that, if you enjoyed this video and you like content like this, I'd highly recommend subscribing to the channel if you are new. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.